One of the things I'd like to have a discussion about, one of the things I'd like to talk to other people about, words. Sometimes you hear people say they have power, and other times you hear people say they have no power. And it's the different aspects of the thing, right? Sound has power. Sound has creative power. Those stone circles, those really, really ancient stone circles in Africa that they call animal pens, are not that, right? There's a theory that they are, when you look at them, they make the shapes that sounds make. The sound of Om makes a shape if you put rice or water on a speaker, right? And you use a proper megahertz. They make symbiotics. I can't remember what it's called, the actual name of it. It's in my head, but it makes a shape. And those stone circles mimic those shapes. And so it's almost like if you take them and you string them together, there are thousands of them. You would technically, anyway, the power, the creative power in sound, everything you do has a creative power behind it, right? We are creators. When it says that we are made in God's image, it means that we are creators. We create. We create with our hands. We create with our thoughts. Where it's fractal, it's geometry. We're constantly creating and constantly fractaling. When it comes to words, yes, in some instances, it's not about focusing on the word. A word describes something. You need them to describe something. You need the sounds to describe something. But when you jump into a different aspect or a different view, or even sometimes a different subject matter, they are important. They have creative power. The vowels make the most whole shapes. They make the most perfect shapes. The vowels do, not the consonants. What does that mean? That's why I like linguistics. That's why I like thinking about it all. And it's not that I'm thinking about it. I had a weird dream. I had a very weird dream. And I have this from time to time. I've had a few in my life that they're not, I don't want to say they're messages. But again, that word is improper. I don't feel like that's the right word. It's not conveying the right thing. They're just something other. It's like stepping into creative flow, almost. I'm going to talk about certain parts of my life I don't generally share. And third dimension. You've heard me talk about the duality and polarization of the third dimension and why that's needed. And you have to understand that before you before you start adding sides to it, before you start getting into fourth dimension and fifth dimension and sixth dimension, right? We understand that we only see a limited number of colors. We only see a small portion of the spectrum. We only hear a limited number of sounds. And yet, that doesn't mean that that is all that is. That isn't all that exists. We understand that there's something else, right? We're slowly our science is catching up to sort of understand these things. And so some people, I think, call, unexplained things they fear, ghosts, demons, the devil, these things, whatever. It's another dimension. However you want to refer to those things that clearly are there. It's just our understanding of it has not formed it very well, let's say. So in my life, I have, it started like this. Don't use a Ouija board. Oh, don't do these things. Don't do these things. The Bible says they're bad. And I always found it strange. Like, I think my parents used to tell me, witchcraft, things that usually relate to witchcraft. That's bad, that's of Satan. And I thought, why take the time? Why would a book take the time to say, don't eat the cake, if cake isn't a thing? Why would I tell you not to eat something if I do not have it? If it's not a tangible thing, if it's not something, then there is no need for me to take the time to tell you that, oh, you shouldn't, this is bad, right? And so just that sort of, for me, just that thought alone means like, okay, whatever, without defining it, logically, there's something that exists, right? And I don't claim to understand it, I don't claim to know it, I can only tell you my experiences with things like that. And I've had plenty. They follow me. I disrupt electrical stuff. I have a problem with electrical things. Phones, speakers, toys, lights. I had a baby swing, and I was talking on the iPad with my sister, and it ran completely on batteries. It didn't have a plug, and it turned on and started swinging and playing music. And I showed my sister right as it happened, no batteries, has no power source, shouldn't be doing this. And I'm sort of used to things like that. Lately, lights, a lot of flickering lights. And I feel like it's just either because I haven't figured out how to harness my own energy, or because I'm stepping into it, because I'm standing in it, I'm flowing in it, that it has more of an effect. And so that's just one example of these things that kind of occur in my life. And I have many of them, different aspects of them. They're not all electrical, but I notice things. When I say the color yellow is following me, it's following me. It's making a point of like going, woohoo, the animals sometimes the octopus, the raven, these animals that follow me, these numbers that follow me, although usually it's not numbers. I don't see, but lately there have been certain numbers that are popping up. But so words, and that leads back to words. There's this thing about words. It has a creative power. The word, I've tried to be more mindful with what I say and how I say it, because of the power of creation just in speaking it. And I'm not sure how else to describe it. And to a lot of you, this isn't going to make sense, and you probably think I'm a little bit kooky, but that's, if you know me, you sort of already know that about me anyway. When I was little, I've had an affinity, certain things I've had an affinity for, certain things that follow me, the moon, wind, nature. I've listed them before, I've mentioned them before. But when I was little, I used to sit in my attic, and I would stare at the fan. We had a fan in the window, and I wanted the fan to move. And I thought, like a Jedi mind trick, But I didn't focus on moving the fan. I focused on asking the wind to blow. If I can try to affect the wind, it will move the fan, And there were plenty of times, coincidental or not, it worked that way. Again, there are too many things in my past for me to say this is coincidence. Okay? There's whatever that is. And however it's defined, and I haven't found the right words to define it. But I believe that things like that exist. I believe that everything is always sort of trying to commune with you, trying to talk to you, trying to show you something. But that's how I live my life. There's meaning in everything, and meaning in nothing, depending on my view, or the state I'm in, or what I need at that time. In a state of allowing. I'm very interested in those things. I'm very interested in things that a lot of people find it very difficult to talk about because they can't get past their own beliefs. And I'm not trying to change anybody's belief. I'm not trying to do any of that. I'm just saying, here's this thing, and logically, look, here's the information. I noticed these little things, and so something's going on. So what is that? What is that? I love science. I'm so Sagittarius. I love science. I love when we can figure out something, when we catch it from a new perspective, when we say, hey, wait a minute, everything we thought we knew was wrong. And I think that cycle always continues. I think that there's always something to be learned. There's always something to be seen, observed. But it's not, it's so individual. And that's the other thing with me. It's so individual. It's to the person, not to the group. Lately, I feel like I'm right on the cusp of something. I feel like if it's a roller coaster, if I had to describe it as a roller coaster, it's the best way I can think of when you're climbing that incline. Right before you get over and then you get you get that whoosh feeling. It's sort of like that. I feel like I'm right on the cusp of understanding something, and so I've been trying to offer myself a lot of silence and not too much strain to be able to allow it. I think we forget this as humans. We get so busy trying to control our experiences, trying to control every aspect of our experience. And we run into places where we feel lonely, where we feel we've hit a dead wall, where we're frustrated because we're not moving forward, or, we didn't have any synchronicities or signs, or whatever it is, whatever we get used to sort of dissipates, and we're left standing there going like, oh, was I just fooling myself? Did I just trick myself into believing that? Now reality is struck in. And no, I think that those are the times where it's saying be quiet and allow. You have to, one of the things that was made very clear to me this week is to be inspired, you need that space. You need a space of silence. You need to be able to spend time with yourself and just be. I can't help how you're going to, I have to be able to use words to talk to you guys since, nobody's exhibiting ESP and sending me mental messages necessarily. Though I do that to some of you. I do. I'm always trying different things. I try sending out my energy. If I fractally think about somebody all the time, they'll call. It's these weird little tendrils. No. Anyway, that's where I'm at lately. And I would be very interested in other people's opinions and things that they experience or notice. And not for any reason, not to try to figure out anything, not to define anything, but just to understand the creative power in it. I think that's what I'm making this video because I'll lose it and it's a little bit uncomfortable for me, and I like uncomfortable, but I'll lose it if I don't. And I don't want to lose it. I feel like it's important. So if any of that interests you, shoot me a message. Ask me a question. Maybe I'll make a video on it all. My life, there's already been so much. There's so much. All the traveling I've done and all the things I've seen, and it's not like it's been this amazing, it has been amazing. It has been amazing. I think everybody's life is like that. I feel like if I could sit down with somebody once a week and I spent a week getting to know them, I could write their life I could show them all the things that they're missing. I do with my mom. Look at all the things you're missing. Look at how amazing your life actually is. Look at all the things you've actually experienced. And feelings, right? Feelings. We have the opportunity, every human has the opportunity to experience every feeling out there. It's just the actions and the things that create it are different per individual. But somebody, some little kid in a third world has the opportunity and will in his life experience all the feelings I've been able to experience. That's what makes us beautiful and unique. That's why you matter. That's why you shouldn't listen to, you shouldn't, what shame is when you believe someone else's opinion of you. I like that. Shouldn't feel shame. Why believe someone's opinion of you? You know you. You know your heart. You know your intent. Inherently, I think everybody does. Whether they listen to it or ignore it. It's there, though. We are all afforded the same opportunities, but we focus so much on the material that we miss it. And I feel like we're so close. It's getting, even in my own understanding, it's getting, I feel like, I've said before, I'm a bridge. I take in a lot of information. My IQ is in the 150s. I learn quickly. I not hoard, but I gather information. I like to put it together like a puzzle. How does this affect this? And take these unrelated things and bridge them in understanding. I feel like that is one of the things that I do well. My mom said yesterday, it's like you have a lot of irons in the fire. Yeah. But because I give myself the space, to just be with myself, those fires, it's not like, oh, I'm not getting to them. I don't feel guilt for not getting to them. Yes, I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of thoughts. And sometimes I lose them, and I used to feel guilty for not getting to them and not talking about them or not writing about them. And now I jot them down, understanding that I will come back to it. It will come back to me when I've acquired whatever I've needed to see it from a different perspective. Just because you put something down doesn't mean you're abandoning it forever. Almost all times, it comes back when I have a new understanding, when I've allowed myself for my foundation to kind of settle, so I'm not building on quicksand. I don't know how to describe it. But I'm trying not to edit myself, and just, some of the words will be wrong. Some of the ideas won't quite, but they'll be conveyed. And they'll be understood however each of you individually understands them. I'm interested in that, because we're all unique. You're unique as a person. You have a value. You have a value to add and to give. You have an insight that is important. I don't understand why we all want to be kind of the same, why we all want to share the same beliefs, why we all want to be the same way. I feel like if we're going to share something and we're going to all have the same belief, then that belief is, should be love. It should be a heart-centered. It should be a heart-centered thing. Like, adopt that. But the rest of it, religion and politics, and we try so hard sometimes to, like, it's not valid unless we can make other people believe it too. Or something. I'm not sure why we do that as humans. Probably lies somewhere in between neuroscience and linguistics, and everything is affected by, it's like a fine spider web, and when one dings, it travels down the web, and the whole web. That's all. That's where I'm at. It's not a matter of figuring out what it all means. It's just allowing it. That's the flow I'm standing in right now.